Today we're talking about pricing, and my pricing document, my template is in the description below if you're interested in having it. It's the one that I actually use as a wedding photographer, a working wedding photographer. And throughout this video, I'm going to go through the pricing strategies that have worked really phenomenally well, as well as the pricing strategies that I would 100% recommend to avoid. Learn from my mistakes. Let's get to the video. Welcome to my vehicle. It is a nice place. There's air conditioning or heat, depending on the time. You don't care. You're here for the pricing talk. Pricing has always been a bit of a puzzle for, I think, everyone, and there's no official person to say you're doing it right or wrong. It's different in every market, and you kind of have to pull the bits and pieces that make sense for you. So hopefully this video will give you some of those pieces that you can pull, as well as the actual pricing template. I'm going to be giving you a bonus template too, and that bonus template is actually maybe even more valuable than my pricing document, and that is my nacho recipe. So we're gonna make it up though. So it's not really a recipe. It's we're gonna go to the store. We're gonna get some things. We're gonna make some nachos. The big challenge for me off the start was when I was just getting into wedding photography, that people would contact me and I was getting very infrequent inquiries. Maybe every other week I'd be getting a single inquiry, and I would spend so much time crafting the perfect response and sending that out to them, and I would very rarely, if ever, hear back from them. And that caused me basically to go in this spiral of every single time that happened, I would revisit my pricing and I would make it as perfect as it could be. And maybe they're looking for albums, maybe they want that print credit, and I would redo everything. And there's all kinds of different ways that you can structure your pricing. Now, on the other side of that, 15 years later, I realize that there are a lot of other things that come into play with that. And specifically the big one for me, and the big one that I've learned, is that you really do want to be attracting your ideal client, which maybe actually leads to something, I guess, that is potentially important to you. If you're watching this video likely in July of 2020, this information I'm going to try to keep current for as long as possible. But in July 2020 right now, if you're watching this, I have relaunched essentially everything that was on Patreon. Patreon became a bit of a pain to structure as far as the courses go. It was very difficult for me to access back content and make it easy for everyone to find, as well as a number of other issues. The other big one being that if you signed up for Patreon on the 28th of the month, Patreon will bill you again on the 1st of the month, just a couple of days later, regardless of, like, there was no way that I could change that. And I felt like it was the biggest, it made me angry. And I know it made a lot of you angry as well. So I've changed over to a system now, and you can get in on the founding rate, and the founding rate is actually better than the Patreon founding rate. The Patreon founding rate was $10. Now you can, if you do the annual on the new site, you can get it for $6.58 a month, which is absolutely crazy. And you have instant access to everything that I've really ever created as far as for sale products. So that goes all into, I guess, 3 tiers. So the main tier is obviously wedding photography and business and booking more weddings, but there are also technical tiers on top of that. So the actual skills required. So there's an off-camera flash course and Introvert's Guide to Posing, as well as all the stuff that's actually going to help you attract your ideal client. And then beyond that, there are a number of courses that go kind of next level into photography. And I'll talk a little bit more about this during the video here, but I really do try to design my life for happiness first, and a big portion of that for me is travel and being able to pick the jobs that I want to pick and to be able to go out into the world and do them. So there are a number of courses on there that teach you how to use your camera to, at the beginning, get those break-even trips. So if you want to go somewhere down south into like a Caribbean island or whatever, that you can find companies to at least make that break even. So you come home and you haven't really spent money on that vacation. You've got an amazing experience. You've generated a portfolio. And at the end of the day, it costs you $0. And eventually scaling that into something that's generating you income, so that when you go and do those trips, you actually come out ahead, which, if you want, that potentially means that you could travel for free and also get paid. So that could become your job going into the future. So that's kind of the 3 pieces of this, and all of that content, all like $2,000 plus of it, is all up and available instantly if you sign up. And I do 100% recommend that you sign up right now for the introductory rate, because there's only 100 spots available. So get one of those spots and then you can hold on to that. I'm never going to kick you out, but the price of everything else is going to go up for everyone else. So if you're watching this a little bit later than July 2020, I apologize. But if there's still founding spots available, by all means jump on those. There's a 100% money back guarantee on it as well. So I really do believe that it is one of the best, and certainly one of the most inexpensive. It started as a, hey, like, here's everything that I know. Can you just buy me lunch? And now it's actually become $6.58. So now it's a very inexpensive lunch. I can't even buy a McDonald's meal anymore for $6.58. So know that you're getting an incredible deal and that it really is worth the investment in yourself and in your business. So yeah, that will hopefully have a lot of the answers for you for how to attract your ideal client, which is a lot more information than I could ever put into this single YouTube video. And I want to keep it a little more focused on pricing. So let's head over to the grocery store and we will begin the template process of building nachos. Thanks, man.
I love your wedding photography videos.
Thanks.
It's so great.
Today it's cooking nachos, so.
Sweet, I'll check it out. Spencer.
Nice to meet you. I'm sure I'll see you around lunch.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, cool. Thank you, man.
That's small. Okay.
Now that we have our ingredients for the second template, the nacho template, which is equally as important to the pricing template that you came here for, one of the questions that comes up a lot in both the members only Facebook group for Patreon members, now the new website members, as well as the weekly podcast that happens there as well, is how do you step up your pricing? You can't just simply enter the market and shoot a few weddings for $400 and then all of a sudden be charging like $4,900 to start. The way that I did it and the way that I would recommend, I think looking back, it was definitely the easiest way, is just incrementally increasing your pricing. So it's as simple as every time you book a wedding, you now charge $200-$300 more. So that means every time you book a wedding, you redesign your pricing guide or the template that you can download, and you change the numbers around a little bit, and then you send it out to the next people whenever they do inquire. So that is kind of the way that I went about doing it, and I feel like that was the easiest way. And you can also manage your anxiety with it as well. It's a bit scary when you're pricing up, then you don't want to price yourself out of the market. And I feel like there's a line at some point. The way that I kind of balanced it was that if I was booking, I would say 3 out of every 5 meetings that I went to, usually 1 or 2 of those maybe I'm a little bit too expensive for. I felt that was kind of like the right spot for me to be at my skill level at the time. So I kind of hovered around that mode. If I was booking, say, 80% of the weddings or the wedding meetings that I went to, I was totally happy with that. If you're booking 100%, it means that you're priced too low. And if you're booking 0%, you're probably priced a little bit too high. Sorry, somebody's trying to back into me here. So that's the way I did it. And then eventually I got to a point where I felt that mentally, I know there's a lot of like life coaches and business coaches, they're like, charge what you're worth. And I got to, I think it was like 2,150 or something. And I paused there. I was like, I cannot go to 2,500 for the day. I felt that was just too much money. And I felt that my experience wasn't there yet. And looking back, that's not really the correct barrier, but that's how I read it. So I stuck around that starting point for quite some time. And what I would do is, rather than adding money to my package and making myself more expensive, I would take things away. So now my bottom package that we're going to talk about in a few minutes here, maybe back in the kitchen, I would take away maybe the engagement session from that bottom package and maybe 2 hours. So now it's a 4-hour package for an elopement style wedding. And I would stay at that price point. And I still do this to this day, is that I want to post an attractive price point on my website. And in my case, I have a starting rate posted on my website, but I don't have anything beyond that. I don't even say what average spend is. So I just want people to kind of get in the door. I feel like there is a big mental barrier to get over. If you're priced too high, people are just going to bounce out. And like, as far as my analytics go, maybe this is something critically important to share with you. So everyone that comes to my website, according to Google Analytics, they come to my website and pretty much all of them immediately try to find out how much money I cost. So they head to the pricing / investment page, whatever you want to call it. So most people, main page, investment page, find out if they can afford me before going deeper and looking at my portfolio and maybe watching some videos and reading the about me and actually getting kind of more hooked into me. So you can easily bounce off an ideal client just by price point. So I think by having it a little bit lower and a little bit kind of on, I guess, like on par with what your local market should be doing, I feel like you get a lot more traction from that price. And simply just like if you feel like $2,900 is my starting rate if anyone wants to know. So starting at $2,900, which is not that expensive in the grand scheme of things. I know lots of photographers out in California starting at like $7,900 or whatever it might be. Locally here, that's a good spot to be, I think. And if you're getting that as an inquiry rate, you know that people are willing to invest in their photography. The other thing to mention is that people, if they come to you with a budget of $500, there is no realistic way you can convince them to now spend $5,000 on their wedding photography package. And if you do that, and it's like it almost comes down to some like level of extortion if you're finding a way to get $5,000 out of somebody that came to you with a budget of $500. That is I guess a personal moral boundary that I don't want people to spend more than they can possibly afford. And I don't care how good I am as a wedding photographer. A wedding is a one day. I would much rather them spend within something that's reasonable, that fits the budget of their wedding, that's not going to bankrupt them or not going to put them into debt for the next 5 years. I want my couples to hire me because they want to have me, but then I also know where my spot is in supply and demand marketplace. That if I was priced less, I would probably be shooting 100, maybe 120 weddings a year, if that's even physically possible. And if I was priced more, I'd be shooting a lot less, maybe at a higher price point. But when you start at a much higher price point, it really does become a little bit more risky, and you rely on every single one of those bookings. For instance, if you are a $10,000 a day photographer and you only book 10 weddings a year and you focus all your time and your energy on your clients, and they know that, and it's a great experience, but if you miss out on one of those bookings in a year, you're missing out on $10,000 of your overall income. So I'd rather be in a spot that does a little bit more volume. I also find that locally here, looking around the market and participating in the market, I know for a fact that it is a lot less money to get married here. Actually, maybe not on a venue side, but a vendor side, it is looked at that basically if I was living in Toronto, I could be charging maybe $2,000 to $3,000 more on a starting rate, which would essentially double my starting rate. So if I was a Toronto photographer and I only shot in Toronto, which is like an hour west of here, it's not even really that far, I would probably be starting at $4,900 or maybe even a little bit higher, because that's more of the going rate kind of in that market for, I guess, my skill and the venue connections that I would have. So all of that kind of goes into that and coming up with kind of that price. But then moving an hour west of the city and pricing where I price, I know for a fact that I'm scaring couples away in Toronto that look at my website and they're like, why doesn't he charge any money? When they've been looking at other comparable photographers and they're a lot more money. So I know that I'm scaring those people away, but it all kind of comes also down to my life happiness. I would way rather work around here than downtown in the city. Like, it's just a nightmare for a number of different reasons, as well as the days are usually just a lot more physically challenging, just like getting places, as well as parking and driving into the city with traffic, and like there's so much more that goes into it. My happy place is over here. I decided that pretty quickly on. I did a couple seasons in Toronto, realized that I love working around here, so that's kind of where my life has gone and stayed. So I price according to the market that I actually want to be in, and not try to compete with somewhere that doesn't give me life happiness overall. And I know if I was chasing the money, I could easily go and compete in Toronto and book a lot of weddings, but my happiness, my happy place is here. So I think that kind of goes into, we'll talk a little bit more about this while we're making nachos. Now back at home, I have my favorite sparkling beverage here, La Orange. Sorry if you speak French, that was not correct. I have the medium salsa, some green onions, taco seasoning, very important, the Monterey Jack jalapeno, aka pepper jack, sour cream, and some restaurant style nachos, all very important. Now to go into actual pricing and packages. First, we're going to tinfoil. This is for cleanup later. Nobody likes knocking cheese off a pan, so put them on tinfoil. 3 packages I think are the best. Number 1 is the top package. So I structure the most expensive middle package, which is usually the most ideal one that I actually want to book. And then the lowest package that is just kind of, they're here for an elopement, they want a couple of hours, that's what they're going to book. So 3 packages as a photographer if I am doing both photo and video coverage, which I do a lot. I actually have 4 packages, so my packaging specifically is 4 packages. One of them, there's two middle packages. The one is photography only, the one is photography and a highlight video. And the main idea is to have that one package to get them in the door, to have that ideal package that gives them most of what they need, and then to give them that one package that gives them absolutely anything that they could ever desire if they had just won the lottery. So those are the layers, get it? And we're gonna layer some nachos here. They're not as restaurant style as I had hoped. Usually I like to get nachos from my friend Nick's restaurant, Taco Farm. They make them in-house there and they do everything, but he didn't open until noon today, so missed out. Now, the top package is there to set value, both perceived value as you as a photographer. If it's, say for instance, a $6,000 package, you're now a $6,000 a day photographer, and that's gonna make the next package down look a heck of a lot more attractive. I think I'm doing everything a little bit backwards. Gotta shred the cheese. You buy this cheese and not the shredded cheese, because if it's the shredded cheese that has like chemicals and preserving agents on it, this is the good melty cheese. The shredded cheese doesn't melt as well as if you shred it yourself. A little extra work, but you know, sample the product. There was, or I guess there still is, depending on who you're reading online, there is a thing called a Whopper package, and that is your top package. And then also with a little extra seasoning, like the taco seasoning. So Whopper package, and why I don't agree with it entirely, but you can modify it so it does make sense. Whopper package is supposed to be the like astronomically expensive package that's designed specifically and only to never sell. Like if you're creating a Whopper package, you just want to set your value, your perceived value at like $18,000 for the day, $20,000 for the day, whatever it might be. I personally don't agree with creating a package simply to just be expensive. It's a little, I don't know, it's a little douchey. So what I would recommend is just doing something that will actually sell maybe once or twice a year that actually just includes everything that a couple would ever actually want. So for me, what this means is that I want to give them everything that I possibly can. If I was just doing photography only, that would mean big albums like 14 by 14 or 16 by 16 or huge panorama books, as well as parent books, as well as the engagement session and rehearsal coverage and really everything that I could ever bring to them as part of a package that somebody could be like, yeah, we do want everything. And if they do that, that's awesome. And I want that package to sell maybe 1 or 2 times a year. The other goal is to make my bottom package sell maybe 1 or 2 times a year as well, that if it's a Friday or if it's an elopement, that people are gonna come in on that bottom package, and that's totally fine. The middle package is where you make your money, and the middle package is designed after what makes you the happiest in life. And I feel like it's a balance, it's a bit of a wave, I guess, that in the beginning, you wanna just kind of make it so that you're booking as much as you possibly can. But as you grow your business, you wanna start taking the things out of it that just don't make you happy. For myself personally, I don't really enjoy making albums. I know that I could easily outsource this and have someone else do it, but it's expensive. My couples are always a little hesitant to spend that kind of money on a book. I have found my stride in being a salesperson to just tell them that like, hey, I'm gonna give you all the images. You have rights to everything that you want. Please go out, please make books. Here are some links to great book manufacturers online. Do your own thing, leave me out of it. I'm not gonna charge you any extra money for it. And my couples actually really seem to love that, and it makes it almost an easier sell for me. 1, that the extra cost isn't there, and 2, that it's kind of, you're on the same side a little bit, I guess, in that conversation, that you're actively selling against something that you offer, which is an interesting and unique psychological place to be. Now, another piece of your pricing document should be a la carte pricing as well, so that essentially what the a la carte pricing is doing is it's an individual, like that this is what an engagement session costs, this is what an hour costs, this is what a second photographer costs per hour. And it is all to back up how good of a deal they're getting if they buy one of these packages rather than piecing their own package together. I am personally not too offended if somebody wants me to make a custom package, or this might be a bad word to some, if anyone wants a discount because they don't want an engagement shoot and it's included in a package, I'm happy to discount that package for that. That might be the unpopular opinion, and I feel like discounts are a pretty bad word in our industry, and a lot of people really have pushed against them as far as just like, you can't be a luxury brand and also offer discounts. I found that yes, you can totally offer discounts, and people are pretty happy to save money. One of the discounts that I offer, actually I offer kind of a few. So My pricing is based on essentially 100 kilometers of here, so I don't have any travel if you're within 100 kilometers of here. But if you're getting married 5 minutes from my house, I'm probably going to do a little bit better on price than if you were getting married 100 kilometers away. That saves me the drive for the meeting, that saves me the drive for the engagement session, and the drive for the actual wedding day, which is way more stressful than either of the other two. So I'm going to save them a little bit of money that way. Also, if you're working with a wedding planner that I know is going to take a lot of the hard parts of planning, and they're going to actually make a schedule for me, and I don't have to be acting coordinator. Basically, if a couple doesn't have a wedding planner or a venue coordinator, it kind of comes down to the photographer and the couple to make the entire schedule for the day. And if I don't have to do that, and it's like, say, my friend Michelle, who's a wedding planner, she's like, I have a great couple for you. You guys will get along. I already know that. They're interested in meeting you. I'm going to give them a discount because they're working with a planner, and that's going to take so much of my mental stress and energy out of actually doing anything to do with the day other than just taking pictures. So I'm going to hook them up with a little bit of a discount for working with Michelle. And also I'm going to do that because it makes Michelle look good too, that she knows photographers, and this photographer is willing to give that couple a deal. I'm willing to give them a deal because it's just a preferred relationship. I'm going to say this is kind of a fleeting thing in the industry, at least up here. It's really frowned upon, to be quite honest now. And that is the idea of kickbacks. So for instance, if you're a wedding planner, you refer me, I book that $3,000 day. I'm now supposed to give you a check for $500 or whatever the commission is to book that. And while it makes sense in a sales strategy, in an ongoing business and just as kind of a community, it's a very difficult, dynamic. I prefer the dynamic of if Michelle's couple is coming to me, I'm going to give them a discount. Michelle can share that discount with them. She looks good because she's getting the couple a discount. I feel happier because I don't have to do the entire wedding planning, and she can just send me a schedule. So I'm happy to give discounts based on that. So that might be the bad word of the day. We're getting closer to nachos here. I'm going to clean up my green onions here. I didn't really have many green onions to choose from at the store. It was pretty low stock, even though they are very much in season. These ones are from Mexico, not even local. You can grow them right here, but the store doesn't have them. Sorry to the local movement. And then beyond that, it's important just to make the packages make sense, that if they're adding up the packages or adding up the a la carte pricing, that they want to make sure that they're saving money by actually booking one of the packages. You can even go as far to say how much they're saving by booking the package and putting a little brackets, buy this package, save $1,400. You can do something like that if you want. There's really no rules. The pricing template that I'm giving you really is just a starting point, and it's what I've discovered to be mostly good for most markets kind of around the world. But if there's something else that your space does differently, or something that you want to do that makes your life happiness even better, like making nachos, one thing I might stress away from, and I guess this also, maybe this is two small tangents to do with pricing. So the one, when it comes to the Whopper package, include things that people actually want. I distinctly remember one photographer from the United Kingdom. I'm not going to name names. I specifically remember who it is because it was the craziest thing I've ever seen. He offered a flat screen TV if you booked his top package. That you would come in, you would do the sit down and watch your slideshow at his studio, and then you would leave with that flat screen TV. I don't think deals like that, I feel like they resonate with me because I'm in the industry, but I feel like couples, they don't really care about that stuff. They just want to get photography. They want to know that it's somebody that they can trust, somebody that they're going to get along with for the day. And if you can get there with a couple, you don't have to be including all the crazy things that you might think that you would have to in order to just really create that crazy package. The second thing, and maybe I guess this might be a little bit more of kind of a retrospective on the industry. If you're reading older articles on pricing, there was a time in wedding photography that things got a little bit out of control. So basically what happened was that like Style Me Pretty and all the blogs just began showing California-based weddings, and the style basically went from a little more photojournalism and or stand and like pose like a school photo in like 2006, 7, 8, 9 into something that was more like, hey, let's just put a 50 mil on every camera and shoot at f1.2, and that's a style, and find that good golden light. And for a long time, for a bunch of years there, if you had that Canon like 1.2 lens, you could book a lot, and you could book weddings very quickly, and you could book $10,000 a day weddings very quickly. That ship has kind of sailed a little bit. There's a dude actually named Mike Cologne. I'll see if I can dig up the article. It was from a forum called DWF a long time ago, I think, where he just decided one day, he was like, I'm going to charge $10,000 a day for a wedding, and I'm going to be the $10,000 a day photographer. And it worked. It was such a thing that he was just like that. There was just so much perceived value that went along with that. And meanwhile, his skills had not advanced from when he was not charging $10,000. He just decided that was the hook now, that I'm the $10,000 a day photographer. Living in Southern California, you can get away with stuff like that. I feel like with the number of photographers that have come into the industry, that curve has really flattened out. So at some point, like you might be reading an article and it's like, wow, like I really should be charging a whole lot more. See when that's dated and based on kind of the market at the time. I can pretty much guarantee if somebody's telling you to charge $10,000 for a day or to aim for that as a goal, that it is from another time that might not exist ever again in the future just because of the volume of people coming into the industry. One thing I will recommend though is booking lots of volume at a good price and doing good work for couples that you actually get along with. I feel like life happiness wise, that's like a 10 out of 10. If you can be doing that, you can be making nachos, and you can find yourself in a career that's very rewarding, both from a personal standpoint as well as creating something of value for the world. It's really, truly a remarkable job. And as I kind of spoke to in the beginning, it is something that creates a lot of life happiness. And the way the new website, so not to go too much into detail about it, but basically the way that it's structured, section number 1 gives you all the skills that you need. So off-camera flash, introverts, guided posing, all the actual technical stuff. The second is all about booking more weddings. And then the third section is all about traveling and getting paid for it and having the life of your dreams. So that is essentially kind of everything that I abide by in this business and why I chose weddings specifically for my career. I'm so happy that I did. It's really the greatest job in the world. And the amount of time freedom it unlocks and just cool and unique opportunities is really second to none. So if you are not sure if you're gonna get into weddings or not get into weddings and you're watching this video, I 100% recommend that you do get into weddings because it's so much fun. You're an extra member of the wedding party for the day. You get to go and you get to do the things that you wanna do with the camera and get paid to do it. So let's finish up these nachos and you can go download that template. Don't forget, founding member special on right now. First 100 people to sign up to the new website, rather than spending the $40 a month that it will eventually be, can spend $6.58 a month if you sign up for the yearly. And it's really a deal that it will never be better than that. And if you're on the fence, sign up for it right now. I'll never take that away. It's yours. You're just part of that for as long as you want to be. And that also includes all the future content that I create as well. So I'm going to be creating a lot of content, a lot of courses over there. And whenever I release a new course, if you're part of that, you just get it for free. You don't have to pay for it. There's no extra money exchange. That's just the deal. And it is far, far overvalued, I think, on your side of things, because you really are getting $2,000-$3,000 of stuff right off the start. So thanks for watching. Hopefully this was helpful. Don't forget to get the pricing template down below, and hopefully see you inside the new website.
Yeah.